There is a famous quote where Elon Musk describes the life of an entrepreneur. He says, "It is like staring into the abyss and eating glass." Most people hear that quote and nod, thinking it is just a poetic metaphor for hard work. But if you study the psychological profile of Musk, you realize he is not speaking metaphorically. He is describing a physiological baseline that would crush the average human nervous system. In 2008, Musk was facing a perfect storm of catastrophe. The American economy was collapsing in the Great Recession. Tesla was hemorrhaging money and running on fumes. The first 3 launches of the SpaceX Falcon 1 rocket had failed, literally blowing up his fortune in the sky. He was going through a brutal public divorce. By his own admission, he was waking up screaming in the middle of the night, physically vomiting from the sheer weight of the pressure. He had enough money left to save either Tesla or SpaceX, but not both. If he split the money, both would likely die. Most rational people, even high-performing CEOs, would have folded. They would have declared bankruptcy to save their own sanity. But Musk did the opposite. He bet everything he had left, down to his last liquid assets, on a 4th launch and a final production model. This introduces us to the first pillar of his stress management, the expansion of the pain threshold. Musk does not manage stress by trying to relax. He manages it by increasing his tolerance for suffering. It is a concept similar to progressive overload in weightlifting. The reason small problems ruin your day is that your stress container is small. Musk has spent decades forcefully expanding his container by seeking out the highest risk scenarios possible. He has conditioned his brain to accept near-death experiences, financially and reputationally, as the baseline normal. He isn't fearless, he is just desensitized to the feeling of falling. The second mechanism Musk uses to dismantle stress is a cognitive tool he calls first principles thinking. To understand why this reduces stress, we have to understand where fear comes from. For most people, fear comes from analogy. We look at what other people are doing, we see them failing, and we assume we will fail too. We operate by social convention. If the experts say something is impossible, we feel stress when we try to attempt it. Musk rejects this entirely. He boils a problem down to the fundamental truths of physics. When he started SpaceX, the entire aerospace industry said it was impossible for a private company to build a rocket cheaply. The raw materials, aluminum, titanium, copper, carbon fiber, only cost about 2% of a rocket's price. The stress of the industry came from the process, not the physics. By ignoring the industry standard and focusing only on what the laws of physics allowed, Musk removed the fear of breaking convention. This is a profound way to manage anxiety. Anxiety is usually a story we tell ourselves about what might happen based on what others think. If you strip away the opinions of others and look only at the raw data, the anxiety often evaporates. He replaces emotion with logic. When a rocket explodes, he doesn't wallow in the emotional failure. He looks at the telemetry data. He asks, "What did the physics say?" By turning a catastrophe into a math problem, he neutralizes the emotional blast radius. He creates a feedback loop where failure is just data, and data cannot hurt you. However, there is a shadow side to this level of operation, something his biographer Walter Isaacson referred to as demon mode. To survive the levels of stress Musk endures, he engages in a brutal form of compartmentalization. This is the ability to shut down empathy and human connection to focus entirely on the mission. Former employees have described moments where Musk goes dark, becoming cold, ruthless, and verbally vicious in meetings. He enters a trance state where the only thing that matters is the problem at hand. While this is often criticized as toxic leadership, and it certainly has human costs, psychologically, it is a survival mechanism. When the brain is overloaded with the threat of losing billions of dollars, it cannot afford the caloric expense of being nice. It diverts all energy to survival. Musk's ability to switch tasks is legendary. He can go from a disaster at a SpaceX launch site to a Tesla design meeting in the same hour, completely resetting his emotional state. He creates airtight compartments in his mind. If one ship is sinking, he seals the bulkhead door so the water doesn't flood the rest of his mind. This allows him to maintain high-level cognitive function in one area, even while another area of his life is on fire. It is not a healthy way to live for the average person, but for the visionary, it is the only way to prevent total systemic collapse. So, how do we apply the psychology of a man who eats glass to our own lives? We do not need to sleep on factory floors or sever our emotional connections to be successful. But we can learn a vital lesson about the relationship between vision and stress. Musk endures the stress because his vision is larger than his pain. This is the Motivationairy secret. If your goal is simply to make money or be comfortable, your tolerance for stress will be low. As soon as things get hard, you will quit because the reward isn't worth the suffering. Musk's goals, making humanity multiplanetary, solving sustainable energy, are so massive that they dwarf the daily fires he has to put out. The bigger your why, the more how you can endure. If you are feeling overwhelmed by the stress in your life right now, it might not be because you are weak. It might be because your vision isn't big enough to justify the suffering. You are trying to carry a heavy load for a small reason. If you want to manage stress like a visionary, you don't meditate it away. You find a mission so important that the stress becomes a price you are happy to pay. You stop looking for a stress-free life, and you start looking for a burden worthy of your shoulders.